In this video, we will learn about the requirements for general hygiene and sanitary practices for the manufacturing sector as laid down under Schedule 4 of Food Safety and Standards, Licensing and Registration of Food Businesses, Regulation 2011. As also learnt earlier, Schedule 4 of Food Safety and Standards, Licensing and Registration of Food Businesses, Regulation 2011 lays down general and specific sanitary and hygiene requirements for food businesses to ensure that the food does not cause adverse health effects on human consumption. As per the kind of food business, the Schedule 4 is divided into 5 parts. Part 2 of Schedule 4 lays down general requirements on hygienic and sanitary practices to be followed by all food business operators applying for FSSAI license. The establishment in which food is being handled, processed, manufactured, packed, stored, and distributed shall conform to the sanitary and hygienic requirements as laid down under Part 2 of Schedule 4. As per FSSAI, definition of manufacturing establishments also includes establishments involved in packaging, labeling, and relabeling of food products. It shall be noted that Part 2 is not applicable to manufacturing establishments under registration category. Part 2 requirements are divided into 7 main sections, and these sections are further divided into subsections. The main sections of the Part 2 are Design and Facilities, Control of Operations, Maintenance and Sanitation, Personal Hygiene, Product Information and Consumer Awareness, Training and Management, Audit, Documentation and Record Keeping. Section 1, that is Design and Facilities, lays down hygiene requirements for location and surroundings, premises and rooms, equipment and containers, and facilities and utilities of the establishment. The subsection Premises and Rooms explains requirements for construction, design, and layout of the establishment, and the internal structure and fittings such as walls and partitions, ceilings and overhead fixtures, floors, windows, doors, etc. of the establishment to ensure hygienic working environment. The subsection Equipment and Containers includes hygiene design requirements for equipment, containers, other food contact surfaces, and food control and monitoring equipment used in food manufacturing. It also includes design and material requirements for chemicals and hazardous substances containers. The subsection Facilities and Utilities covers water supply, waste disposal and drainage, cleaning, personnel hygiene and employee facilities, temperature control, air quality and ventilation, lighting, and storage facilities. The Section 2, that is control of operations, lays down requirements for procurement of raw material and their receipt, storage of raw material, packing material, and final product storage in warehouse. It also lays down requirement for hygienic food processing and preparation, packaging of food products, rework and control of non-conforming products, transportation of food products, food traceability and recall, and quality control. Section 3, that is maintenance and sanitation, lays down requirements for cleaning, sanitation and maintenance of the establishment, equipment, and containers used in food manufacturing. The sanitation requirements also includes pest control systems and waste disposal management. Section 4, that is personal hygiene, mentions the requirement for personal hygiene, which includes health status of the personnel, illness and injuries of the food handlers, personal cleanliness and personal behavior of the food handlers, and the visitors policy. Section 5, 6 and 7 cover the requirement for product information and consumer awareness, training and management, and audit, documentation and record keeping. Thus, the main highlights of this video are: Part 2 of Schedule 4 lays down general requirements on hygienic and sanitary practices to be followed by all food business operators applying for FSSAI license. The manufacturing establishments also include establishments involved in packaging, labeling, and relabeling of food products. Part 2 is not applicable to manufacturing establishments under registration category. Part 2 requirements are divided into 7 main sections, and these sections are further divided into subsections. When a food business operator intends to start a food business, selection of a hygienic location and surrounding for the establishment is of utmost importance. Care shall be taken to ensure that the location of the establishment is away from potential environmental contaminants such as smoke, chemical pollutants, objectionable odors, and others arising from other factories or sources, as they may pose a threat to food safety. Also, the location of the establishment shall not be susceptible to flooding. The outside area of the establishment shall be kept free from potential contaminants such as bushes, poisonous plants, stagnant water, open drains or sewage, factory waste, debris, etc., as they may harbor pests. These pests may enter the establishment and pose a hazard to food safety. Where buildings are surrounded by grassed or planted areas, a clear space should be provided between the grassed or planted areas and the building. Such grassed or planted areas should be regularly tended and maintained. The establishment shall have well-maintained boundaries, and the access to the building shall be controlled through gates and security personnel. Dogs, cats, or other pet or wild animals should not be allowed to enter the premises. Also, no unidentified person shall enter the premises. The establishments where personnel are also residing within the premises, it shall be ensured that the manufacturing areas and residential areas shall have separate entry and exit, and any residing activity is not posing threat to food safety. For already established food businesses, as the new environmental pollutants arise with time, the food business operator shall take appropriate measures to ensure the food safety, such as installation of chimneys, air purifiers, water treatment plants, safeguards against flooding, etc. It is also recommended that the height of the manufacturing area should be suitably elevated to prevent the risks due to flooding. Thus, the main points discussed in this video are: hygienic location shall be selected for establishing food business, and it shall be away from environmental contaminants. Surroundings of the establishment shall be kept clean. Boundaries of the establishment should be well maintained to ensure access control. Residential activity within the establishment shall not possess any threat to food safety. Appropriate measures shall be taken if new environmental contaminants arise with time. In this video, you learn about the hygienic construction, design, and layout of the food manufacturing establishment. The layout of the building shall be planned to ensure that adequate working space for machines, equipment, and personnel is available to carry out manufacturing process in a hygienic manner. The layout shall be planned in such a way that movement patterns of materials, products, and personnel are in orderly fashion and not random, as it may cause cross-contamination. As far as possible, separate sections should be planned to avoid contamination of finished products. For example, raw materials section should be separate from final product warehouse, and manufacturing area should be separate from packaging area. Also, the entry and exit to manufacturing and residential area, if any within the premises, shall be completely separate and should not cross paths, as it may lead to cross-contamination. The design of the establishment should be simple and easy to maintain, clean, and disinfect. It shall provide sufficient protection from the environmental contamination. Ledges and inaccessible areas should be kept to a minimum. The design shall take into consideration the manufacturing process. For example, if steam is used in process, ventilation shall be provided, or alternatively, heating system or insulation may be designed to prevent condensation. There should be a raised platform for receiving the raw material. Overhead services such as cable trays, pipe runs should be kept to a minimum, and if possible, a suspended ceiling installed beneath. Pipe and cable runs should have a smooth, cleanable finish. U-section fitments should be avoided or installed upside down to prevent dust and dirt from collecting. Services, light units should be mounted flush to ceilings or roofs or on rods or cables, and preferably not chains. Pipework should not be boxed in because of the risk of infestation. The construction should be strong and adaptable to the weather of that area. The construction material of the establishment should be of sound quality and it should not be a potential source of contamination, such as flakes of paint shedding from the roof or wall, corroded window seals, breakage of tiles, floor and marbles, etc. It shall also be ensured that there are no gaps between the floor and doors or between walls, as they may permit entry and provide harborage to pests. Where pipes, cables, trunking or ducting pass through internal or external walls, all holes and gaps should be filled to avoid pest entry. The perimeter of the building should be kept clean and tidy. Any external storage should be kept to a minimum, as this will provide a harborage for pests. The area should be inspected regularly and unnecessary items should be removed. The perimeter should be kept free of vegetation with a hard stand or gravel border where possible. Thus, the main points discussed in this video are: the layout of the building should be planned to ensure orderly movement of machine, material and personnel to avoid cross-contamination. The design of the establishment should be simple and easy to maintain, clean and disinfect, and shall provide sufficient protection from the environmental contamination. Also, it shall take into consideration the manufacturing process. The construction should be strong and adaptable to the weather of that area, and the material should be of sound quality and not a potential source of contamination. In this video, we will learn about how to plan and design internal structures and fittings in the establishment to ensure hygienic working area. Internal structures here refers to floors, walls, ceilings, doors, windows, partitions, working surface, stairs, elevators, etc. And the fittings here refer to lights, fans, exhaust fans, air curtains, ventilators, etc. The structure of the establishment shall be soundly constructed, easy to maintain, clean and disinfect. The construction material should be durable, impervious to food particles, grease and water, with no toxic effect upon intended use. It should not provide pest entry and harborage. Where appropriate, all junctions and corners should be rounded in processing areas to facilitate effective cleaning. Structures and fittings where glass breakage could result in contamination of food shall be constructed of alternative materials or be adequately protected. Walls, partitions and ceilings are necessary to protect food from contamination through cross-contact or external environment, thus should be effectively provided wherever necessary. They should have proper finishing and be maintained to prevent the accumulation of dust, minimize condensation and shedding of paint. Walls shall have a smooth surface, essentially up to maximum height of operation. If tiles are applied on the wall, they should be non-porous with no crevices. Tiles also help in avoiding seepage, thus prevent mold growth. Walls may be protected from damage caused by moving trolleys by placing stainless steel plates or pipes. All overhead fixtures such as fans, tube lights, etc. shall be properly secured and covered to avoid contamination of food. There should be no loose wires or open electrical points, as these may help in pest movement or accumulation of dirt, dust, etc. Ventilators used for natural ventilation should be easy to clean. Construction material for floors should be non-slippery and should be able to withstand manufacturing operations, cleaning chemicals and cleaning processes, and heavy equipment or trolley movement. They shall be at all times maintained in good condition without any crevices to avoid accumulation of dirt, dust and mold growth. If the floors are wet cleaned or water is drained from manufacturing process, they should be appropriately sloped and allow adequate drainage to avoid water stagnation. Windows shall be adequately provided to ensure natural lighting and proper ventilation. If windows are opening inside the manufacturing area, then it shall be made either of alternate material to glass or adequately protected. Windows shall be kept closed if opening to external environment or to contaminated area. Windows, roof vents or exhaust fans shall be fitted with cleanable wire mesh to avoid entry of pests when opening to external environment. Narrow windsills are recommended with a slope of at least 45 degrees to prevent buildup of dust as well as items being left there. Doors shall have smooth, non-absorbent surface with no flaking paint or signs of corrosion. Doors of the manufacturing area should have door closures fitted and kept closed if opening to external environment or to contaminated areas. Air curtains or other appropriate measures should be taken if doors are kept open, such as in raw material receiving area. There shall be no gap between floor and doors to avoid entry of pests. Wooden doors or windows should not be preferred as it promotes mold growth, termites with aging. All food contact surfaces such as working slabs, tables, etc. shall be inert to food, cleaning chemicals under normal operating conditions. They should be maintained in good condition without any crevices to avoid accumulation of dirt, dust or mold growth. They should be free from sharp internal angles or corners, protruding rivets, nuts and bolts, etc. Thus, the main points discussed in this video are: the structures and fittings in the establishment shall be soundly constructed, easy to maintain, clean and disinfect, and which do not react to food, cleaning chemicals and manufacturing operations. They should have proper finishing and maintained to prevent the accumulation of dust, mold growth, shedding of particles and minimize condensation. If the floors are wet cleaned or water is drained from manufacturing process, they shall be appropriately sloped and allow adequate drainage to avoid water stagnation. Windows shall be adequately provided to ensure natural lighting and proper ventilation. Doors shall have smooth, non-absorbent surface with no flaking paint or signs of corrosion. In this video, you learn about the design and material requirements of equipment, including machines and containers used in food manufacturing. The design and construction of the equipment should be such that it permits adequate maintenance, cleaning, and disinfection. It shall be located by leaving space for effective operation and cleaning of adjacent areas like floors, walls, ceilings, and other surfaces. Ideally, A distance of 1.5 feet shall be maintained in between walls and equipment and in between equipments. As far as possible, it should support CIP, that is, clean in place and maintained in good condition. The construction material of equipment shall meet the specifications laid down under Food Safety and Standards, Packaging and Labeling Regulation 2011. The food contact surface of the equipment shall be corrosion resistant, non-toxic, impervious to grease, water, and intended products, as well as to cleaning or flushing agents. Chipped or enameled containers should not be used. Brass utensils should be provided with inner lining. Gasket made of food-grade material should be used for food contact equipment and vessels. Food contact surfaces, including seams, should be smoothly bonded or maintained so as to minimize accumulation of food particles, dirt, foreign matter, etc. Piping and ductwork shall be cleanable, drainable, and with no dead ends. The equipment used to cook, heat treat, cool, store, or freeze food shall be designed to achieve the required food temperatures as rapidly as necessary to meet the food safety requirements and maintain them effectively. The design of the equipment should allow temperatures to be monitored and controlled, and any other characteristics likely to have a detrimental effect on the safety or suitability of food. Containers should be provided with proper fitting, cover or lid, or with a clean gauge net or other material of texture sufficiently fine to protect the contents completely from dust, dirt, etc. In case of glass containers, care should be taken for cracks and crevices. Glass containers should be limited to certain sections such as packaging. In case of breakage of glass in food handling area, proper cleaning should be done. Containers for storing non-food chemicals such as cleaning and maintenance chemicals shall be specifically identifiable. It should not be used for storing any other food or non-food material. They shall be kept closed when not in use, stored separately under lock to prevent malicious or accidental contamination of food. Containers for holding waste and hazardous substances shall be clearly identifiable, easy to clean, maintained in good condition, located at designated place, kept closed, and denied pest harborage. Equipment, if designed in such a way, should be effectively connected to potable water supply and drainage supply with no leaks or reflux. Thus, the major takeaway points from this video are: the design and construction of equipment shall permit adequate maintenance, cleaning, and disinfection. Also, the construction material shall meet the specifications laid down under Food Safety and Standards, Packaging and Labeling Regulation 2011. The food contact surface of the equipment shall be corrosion resistant, non-toxic, impervious to grease, water, and intended products, as well as to cleaning or flushing agents. Equipment shall be able to achieve the required food temperatures and maintain them effectively. Containers for storing non-food chemicals such as cleaning and maintenance chemicals shall be specifically identifiable and stored separately under lock. Containers for holding waste and hazardous substances shall be clearly identifiable and located at a designated place to avoid food contamination. This video will cover the facilities and utilities that are required to hygienically carry out food manufacturing processes. The facilities covered in this video are water supply, temperature control, air quality and ventilation requirement, lighting, and compressed air or other gases. Potable water of BIS standard shall be used for carrying out manufacturing process, cleaning of equipment and other food contact surfaces, and cleaning of floor, walls, etc. Non-potable water shall only be used outside the manufacturing area, such as for cleaning pavements, gardening, firefighting, etc. Water storage facility shall also be made of food-grade material and kept clean and maintained. Potable water shall be tested semi-annually as per IS 10500 standards from a recognized lab. There shall be independent and identified systems for potable and non-potable water. Adequate facility shall be available for meeting temperature requirements for heating, cooling, cooking, chilling, refrigerating, freezing, and storing refrigerated or frozen foods. There shall be facility for monitoring and controlling temperatures. Food premises shall have adequate natural or mechanical ventilation systems to effectively remove fumes, smoke, dust, condensation, steam, and vapors from the manufacturing area. Ventilation systems shall be designed and constructed so that air does not flow from contaminated area to clean areas. And can be adequately maintained and cleaned. Inlet ducts from the air supply in production areas must be located away from the extract vents from areas such as toilets, van sheds, wash-up areas, waste storage areas. Washroom, changing room should also have adequate natural or mechanical ventilation. Adequate natural and artificial lighting shall be provided to enable the personnel to operate in a hygienic manner. Lighting should not be such that the resulting color of food product is misleading. The intensity measured as lux level should be adequate to the nature of the operation. Lighting fixtures should be enclosed and protected using diffusers, plastic sleeves or plastic coated fluorescent tubes to ensure that in case of breakages, food is not contaminated. Lights used in extreme temperature, such as freezers or ovens, should be capable of withstanding the conditions. Compressed air, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, or any other gas systems used in manufacturing or packaging process shall not contaminate the food product. The gases shall be procured from approved sources and filtered to remove dust, oil, and water. The key takeaway points are: potable water of IS 10500 standard shall be used for manufacturing process, cleaning of equipment and other food contact surfaces, and for cleaning of floor, walls, etc. in manufacturing area. It shall be tested semi-annually. Adequate facilities shall be available for meeting temperature requirements as per the manufacturing process. Facility for ventilation through natural or mechanical systems shall be provided to effectively remove fumes, smoke, dust, condensation, steam, and vapors from the processing area. Lighting in the processing area shall be adequate to carry out the operation, and they shall be effectively protected to avoid contamination in case of breakage. Gases including air used in manufacturing or packaging process shall not contaminate the food product. The gases shall be filtered to remove dust, oil, and water. This video will cover the facilities requirements for hygienic cleaning of raw material and equipment, including utensils and containers. The facility for cleaning raw material shall be separate from cleaning of equipment. For such cleaning, there should be adequate supply of hot and cold potable water and drainage system. If possible, the section for cleaning raw material should be separate from the section of cleaning equipment. If the same section is used for both processes, care shall be taken that cleaning of equipment should not contaminate raw material and vice versa. The facility shall be constructed of corrosion-resistant material and shall be kept clean and maintained in a good condition. The sinks designated for cleaning food material should not be used for hand washing or any other personal activity. The highlight points discussed in this video are: separate facility shall be available for cleaning raw material and equipment. Adequate potable water supply and drainage system should be available. The sinks designated for cleaning food material should not be used for hand washing or any other personal activity. This video will cover the facility requirement for maintaining personnel's hygiene. Personnel hygiene facilities such as toilets, hand wash basins, changing rooms, etc. should be available to ensure that an appropriate degree of personal hygiene can be maintained to avoid contamination of food. The number of such facilities shall be in proportion to the personnel strength of the organization. For the ease of usage, they shall be suitably located and designated. Hand washing facility including wash basin, supply of hot and cold water, soap, sanitizer, dryer, and waste bin should be available as appropriate to the nature of operation and preferably located at the entrance of food handling areas. They shall be kept clean and maintained in good condition. These hand washing facilities should not be used for any other purpose such as washing of clothes, personal lunch boxes, etc. An adequate number of toilets of hygienic design along with hand washing facility, effective drainage system, and natural or mechanical ventilation should be available for the personnel. Generally, 1:25 ratio is followed for toilet facility to employee ratio. They should be connected to an effective drainage system, ventilated, kept clean and maintained in good condition. Adequate changing facilities for personnel needs to be provided. Toilets and change rooms should not open directly into the food handling area. Changing room, refreshments area and canteen for personnel should be situated away from the food handling area so that the potential for food contamination is minimized. The main points discussed in this video are hand washing facilities including wash basin, supply of hot and cold water, soap, sanitizer, dryer and waste bins should be available. Toilets of hygienic design along with hand washing facility, effective drainage system and natural or mechanical ventilation should be available for the personnel. Changing room, refreshment areas and canteen for personnel should be situated away from the food handling area. In this video, we will learn about the waste disposal and drainage facility required for hygienic manufacturing of food. Waste bins appropriate to the nature of operation shall be available in adequate number and sizes. They shall be made of impervious material, clearly identified, kept closed and located at the designated place. They shall be kept clean, maintained in good condition and should not provide harborage to pests. Waste shall be segregated into wet and dry garbage and shall be removed periodically. Disposal of waste shall be done in a hygienic way in accordance with local rules which are enforced from time to time. Drains shall be designed to meet expected flow loads and constructed so as to prevent accumulation or backflow of wastewater. Drains should be located in such a way so that they can be easily inspected and effectively cleaned. Drainage shall be equipped with appropriate traps to effectively capture contaminants. Where drainage channels are fully or partially open, they are to be designed as to ensure that waste does not flow from a contaminated area towards or into a clean area. In particular, an area where food likely to present a high risk are handled. No manhole should be situated inside any food processing area. Drains like rainwater pipes, if inside, should be constructed of impervious rust-proof material and should be covered. These shall not open in food processing area. Drain pipes should be clearly color-coded and shall be independent of potable water supply. The main points discussed in this video are: waste bins should be made of impervious material, clearly identified and located at the designated place. Disposal of waste shall be done in a hygienic way in accordance with local rules which are enforced from time to time. Drains shall be designed to meet expected flow loads and constructed so as to prevent accumulation or backflow of wastewater. In this video, we will discuss about storage facility requirement for storing raw material and final product. For storing raw material, packaging material, final product, cleaning chemicals, hazardous substances, waste material, etc. There shall be adequate and separate storage facility available. Storage facility shall be in accordance to the material being stored. Whenever required, roof and enclosed space shall be provided. Designated space shall be available for storage of allergens. The storage facility for chemicals and other hazardous substances shall be kept under lock and supervision. The storage area shall be designed in such a way that there are no chances of contamination of final product. The storage facility shall provide protection from dust, condensation, waste, pest access and harborage, and other sources of contamination. Storage area shall be able to meet the temperature and humidity requirement of the raw material and final product. Whenever necessary, temperature monitoring facility shall be provided. The area shall be kept clean and maintained in a good condition to avoid pest harborage. All materials and food products shall be stored off the floor and away from the walls to allow inspection and to carry out pest control activities. The main points discussed in this video are: adequate and separate storage facility shall be available for storing food and non-food material. Storage area shall be able to meet the temperature and humidity requirement of the raw material and final product. All materials and food products shall be stored off the floor and away from walls to allow inspection and to carry out pest control activities. In this video, we will learn about the food safety and hygiene practices during receipt of incoming raw material and packaging material. Here, raw material also includes fresh produce, ingredients, food additives, and processing aids. Raw material shall be procured from a supplier having FSSAI license. Mandatory documents such as Form E shall be procured. As a good practice, certificate of analysis should also be procured from the supplier mentioning its batch number, date of manufacturing, expiry date, and testing parameters, physical, chemical, or biological, of raw material. As far as possible, all raw material shall be procured in packaged form. Sale of loose grounded spices and cooking oil is prohibited. Raw material should be procured according to the storage and consumption capacity. Incoming vehicle shall be inspected before accepting the raw material. Vehicle should be clean and free from pests, chemicals, dirt, etc. It shall be either a closed vehicle or covered with tarpaulin to protect the raw material from external environment. If the product requires temperature control, then the vehicle should be able to meet the temperature requirements. There should be no signs of tampering of the vehicle or the raw material. Proper sampling as per the in-house documented sampling plan should be done. Samples should be collected from different sections of the vehicle. If more than one batch is present, then sample from all the batches should be taken. Incoming raw material shall be checked for expiry date, best before or use by date, packaging integrity, labeling requirements, and storage conditions before accepting them, and stored according to its temperature requirement. It shall be free from any visible pests or fungal infestation. Records of raw materials and their source of procurement shall be maintained for inspection and traceability. Receiving temperature of potentially hazardous food must be 5 degrees centigrade or below for chilled foods and 60 degrees centigrade or above for hot foods. Receiving temperature of frozen food shall be minus 18 degrees centigrade or below. Records of the receiving temperatures of potentially hazardous and frozen foods must be maintained. All incoming raw materials shall conform to regulations laid down under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006 and shall also meet in-house documented specifications necessary to ensure the quality of final food product. This may be ensured through supplier control, certificate of conformity, incoming inspection, testing, review of labor for allergens, etc. Imported raw material should also be able to meet product standards and labeling requirements as per the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. If the food business operator has information about the presence of chemical, physical, or microbiological contaminants in raw material, which could not be reduced to an acceptable level by normal sorting and processing, then that raw material shall not be accepted. Access points to bulk material receiving lines should be identified, capped, and locked. Discharge into such systems should take place only after approval and verification of the material to be received. Ingredients containing allergens should be clearly identified and sorted separately to prevent cross-contamination. The major highlights of this video are: raw material shall be procured from a supplier having FSSAI license. Incoming vehicle shall be inspected before accepting the raw material. Vehicle should be clean and free from pests, chemicals, dirt, etc. Incoming raw material shall be checked for expiry date, best before or use by date, packaging integrity, labeling requirements, and storage conditions before accepting them. All incoming raw materials shall conform to the regulations laid down under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. In this video, we will learn about food safety and hygiene practices during storage of incoming raw material, packaging material, and storage of final product in warehouse. Storage of raw material and packaging material may be done either in closed room or open sheds. Storage areas and warehouse facilities shall be selected so as to ensure effective protection from dust, condensation, drains, waste, and other sources of contamination during storage period. Storage areas shall be kept clean, dry, and well ventilated. All materials and products shall be stored off the floor and with sufficient space between the material and the walls to allow inspection, cleaning, and pest control activities to be carried out. A distance of 0.5 feet off the floor and 1.5 feet away from the wall is preferred to be maintained. In case wooden pallets are used, they should be fumigated once in 6 months. In case of large godowns, distance should be maintained between the pallets also to avoid pest activity and ease of cleaning. All incoming raw material shall be stored as per the stated storage conditions such as temperature, humidity, light, etc. to avoid deterioration. When storing potentially hazardous food, a food business must store it under temperature control and humidity control where necessary. And if the food is intended to be frozen, ensure that the food remains frozen during storage. Monitoring of temperature and humidity shall be applied in such cases. During storage, care shall be taken to store edible items separated from non-edible items such as stationery items, machinery, cleaning chemicals, lubricants, printing inks, etc. Packaging material shall also be stored separately. While storing different kinds of edible items, care shall be taken to avoid cross-contamination. Also, allergens may be stored separately and identified appropriately. Segregation shall be provided for the storage of raw, processed, rejected, recalled, or returned materials or products and shall be clearly marked. As a good practice, all glass bottles should be stored at the lowermost level to avoid contamination in case of breakage. Stock rotation as per first in first out FIFO or first expire first out FEFO shall be carried out. No expired material shall be stored in the storage section and sent to production. Wrappers and trays should be kept under fumigation and ozonization. All wrappers should be shrink wrap. As far as possible, secondary cartons should be removed before sending the raw material or packing material to production or packaging area. Bulk containers for storing raw material and final products shall be designed in such a way to ease out cleaning, maintenance, and fumigation process. Hard to reach areas should be kept to a minimum. Adequate cleaning of bulk containers and its parts such as couplings, dust collectors, ventilator bags should be done periodically and checked for any pest infestation activity. The major highlights of this video are: storage areas shall ensure effective protection from environmental contaminants. Material shall be stored off the floor and with sufficient space between the material and the walls. Separate section shall be provided for storing raw material, packaging material, hardware, in-process material, rework or returned or recalled material with appropriate identification. Raw material shall be stored as per the stated storage conditions such as temperature, humidity, light, etc. to avoid deterioration. Stock rotation as per first in, first out (FIFO) or first expire, first out (FEFO) shall be carried out. Bulk containers for storing raw material and final products shall be designed in such a way to ease out cleaning, maintenance, and fumigation process. In this video, we will learn about food safety and hygiene practices during processing of raw material to manufacture final product. Incoming raw material to the production floor shall be physically inspected for expiry date, batch number, temperature, and presence of any foreign material. Raw material brought to the production floor should be as per day usage or batch production. Where appropriate, raw material should be sieved through appropriate size sieves and pass through a magnetic grid to avoid any foreign contamination. Sieve and magnetic grid integrity shall be maintained. Where sieving cannot be done, manual sorting or visual inspections shall be carried out. As far as possible, no glass bottle or container should be brought to the production floor. In case of breakage, procedures shall be in place for food handlers to follow to avoid food contamination. Whenever frozen raw materials are handled, adequate care shall be taken so that defrosted or thawed material is not refreezed for future use. Where required, temperature of raw material shall be maintained. Raw materials should be weighed correctly using calibrated weighing scales. Any error should be adequately adjusted. Automated system of weighing raw materials such as bulk flour, oil, water, etc. should also be calibrated periodically. Appropriate production process shall be followed to achieve final products while ensuring food safety at all steps of processing. Care shall be taken to avoid addition of any new contaminant during this process. Wherever steam is used directly on food during processing, the steam shall be made from potable water. Where necessary to the process, temperature and humidity requirements shall be achieved and controlled effectively to ensure food safety. Temperature shall be appropriately monitored with temperature recording devices, and records thereof shall be maintained. The food product shall be cooked, chilled, or freezed to an optimum temperature to ensure that the food is safe from potential microbial contamination. Food that requires cooking shall be cooked to core temperature of 63 degrees Celsius or above, and chilled food shall be chilled to a core temperature of 5 degrees Celsius or below. Similarly, frozen foods shall be frozen to a core temperature of minus 18 degrees Celsius or below. All the equipment used during processing shall be capable of achieving the desired output necessary to ensure food safety. They shall be kept clean, maintained, and free from any pest infestation. Surfaces, utensils, equipment, fixtures and fittings shall be thoroughly cleaned. Where necessary, they shall be disinfected after raw food preparation, particularly when meat and poultry has been handled or processed. Where required, air handling unit shall be placed and positive pressure shall be maintained to purify the air in the production hall. Microfilters and HEPA filters shall be cleaned periodically or changed if choked or non-functional. The final product shall be able to meet the in-house documented standards and specifications as per the regulations under Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. It shall be free from any physical contamination, and chemical or microbial contamination should be within acceptable limits. It shall ensure food safety to the final consumer when consumed as per its intended use. Thus, the major learnings from this video are: incoming raw material to the production floor shall be physically inspected for expiry date, batch number, temperature, and presence of any foreign material. Appropriate production process shall be followed to achieve final products while ensuring food safety at all steps of processing. Where necessary to the process, temperature and humidity requirements shall be achieved and controlled effectively to ensure food safety. All the equipment used during processing shall be capable of achieving the desired output necessary to ensure food safety. The final product shall be able to meet the in-house documented standards and specifications as per the regulations under Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. In this video, we will learn about hygienic handling of food material containing allergens. There are 8 major allergens listed in Food Safety and Standards Labeling Regulations 2017, namely cereals containing gluten, that is wheat, rye, barley, oats, spelt or their hybridized strains and products of these, crustacean and products of these, eggs and egg products, fish and fish products, soybeans and products of these, milk and milk products including lactose, peanut, tree nuts and nut products, and sulfite in concentrations of 10 mg per kilogram or more. Incoming raw material shall be checked for allergen declaration on the label, and final product shall be labeled for allergen declaration as specified in Food Safety and Standards Labeling Regulations 2017. They shall be stored separately in the storage section and identified properly. Display of all the allergens at the relevant places in the processing and storage areas should be done for awareness among the employees. Flow of raw material should be done from non-allergen handling area to allergen handling area to prevent cross-contamination. Appropriate control should be put in place during manufacturing to prevent their presence in other non-allergen food products. Where multiple products are manufactured in the same unit, manufacturing lines shall be cleaned thoroughly after handling allergen ingredients. Preferably, products containing non-allergen ingredients should run before the product containing allergic ingredients. Where cross-contact cannot be guaranteed, consumers shall be informed. For partially used allergen packets, the production staff should ensure that the partially used packet is stored separately and also completely sealed and identified with labels. Dedicated scoops and utensils shall be used which are specific to every allergen. Thus, the major points to remember from this video are: there are 8 major allergens and they shall be declared as per Food Safety and Standards Labeling Regulations 2017. They shall be stored separately in the storage section and identified properly. Appropriate control shall be put in place during manufacturing to prevent their presence in other non-allergen food products. In this video, we will learn about food safety and hygiene requirements during packaging of final food product. As per the requirements of the consumer, the product shall be packed in retail or wholesale packages. Where product is supplied in bulk, such as milk and oil, it is not required to be packed, but transported in a hygienic manner in clean and well-maintained vehicles. Food packaging includes primary, secondary, and tertiary packing. This needs to be kept in mind while selecting the design and packaging material, so that the packaging provides adequate protection to food products from foreign contamination and damage during its transportation. The packaging shall be of food-grade material and conform to the Indian standards as mentioned under Food Safety and Standards Packaging Regulations 2018. The packaging material shall also be capable of accommodating labeling requirements as mentioned under Food Safety and Standards Packaging and Labeling Regulations 2011. The packaging materials should be inspected before use to prevent using damaged, defective, or contaminated packaging which may lead to contamination of the product. The food business operator shall have effective procedures in place to confirm that contaminated, damaged, or defective reusable containers are properly cleaned and sanitized, repaired or replaced as appropriate before reuse. The gases, where used during packaging, shall be non-toxic and shall not pose threat to the safety and suitability of food under the specified conditions of storage and use. The packaging machine should be maintained in a good condition to ensure effective packaging and sealing. The date of manufacturing, batch number, and any other detail which is printed on the packaging shall be checked to ensure its correctness. Where the product is temperature sensitive, such as frozen products, the temperature of the packaging room as well as the storage shall be adequately maintained. Proper care shall be taken while packing high-risk products to ensure that they do not get contaminated during the process. This can be done through sanitization of machines, tabletops, personnel's hands, passing packaging material through UV radiation, etc. Appropriate stock rotation such as first in first out FIFO or first expiry first out FEFO shall be followed. Use of staple pins, strings, rubber bands should be avoided. Glue, if used, should not come in contact with the food product, and in case it comes in contact, it shall be food grade. Reusable packaging, if used, shall be suitably durable, easy to clean, and where necessary, disinfected. Any packaging used for non-food product should not be reused for packaging. The final packed product shall be stored hygienically in the warehouse while maintaining requisite temperature and humidity conditions. Adequate space shall be maintained between the walls and stacks of cartons to ensure effective cleaning and monitoring of pest infestation. This also helps in effective sampling of final product for testing. The major points to remember in this video are: the packaging design and packaging material shall provide adequate protection from foreign contamination and damage during transportation. Final product shall bear labeling requirements as mentioned under Food Safety and Standards Packaging and Labeling Regulations 2011. Proper care shall be taken while packing high-risk products to ensure that they do not get contaminated during the process. Requisite temperature and humidity conditions shall be met while packing and storing the final product. In this video, we will learn about hygienic handling of rework material and non-conforming material to ensure food safety of the final products. Rework material refers to the in-process or final product that has not met the requisite quality and safety parameters and is fit for reprocessing. Non-conforming product is a product that has also not met the requisite quality and safety parameters, and it may or may not be fit for reprocessing. It may arise during the production process or through recall from the market. The rework or fit material shall be reprocessed, and the non-conforming or unfit material shall be suitably discarded. The rework material for reprocessing and non-conforming material for discarding shall be clearly identified to allow traceability, and the traceability records shall be maintained. Stored rework materials shall be protected from exposure to microbiological, chemical, or extraneous matter contamination. Where rework is incorporated into a product as an in-process step, the acceptable quantity, the process step, and method of addition, including any necessary pre-processing stages, shall be defined. Where rework activities involve removing a product from packaging material, controls shall be put in place to ensure the hygienic removal and segregation of packaging materials. Thus, the major points to remember in this video are: stored rework materials shall be protected from exposure to microbiological, chemical, or extraneous matter contamination. Non-conforming materials which are unfit for rework shall be suitably discarded. Rework material shall be suitably incorporated further into the process after controlling the present contamination source. Traceability records shall be maintained. In this video, we will learn about food safety and hygiene requirements to be followed while transporting the food products. Transportation of food products is done either of retail and wholesale packages or of bulk material with no packaging such as milk and oil. The vehicles used for transporting foodstuff shall be kept clean and maintained in good repair and condition to protect the foodstuff from contamination. The conveyance shall be designed and constructed to permit adequate cleaning and disinfection as required. Where direct contact with food may occur, such as in case of oil and milk, materials used in carrier construction should be suitable for food contact. Where necessary, closed conveyance shall be used or effectively covered with tarpaulin sheets to protect the food product from external environment. For temperature-sensitive products, the conveyance shall also be capable of meeting and monitoring the temperature requirements. Such conveyance system shall also have proper insulation to prevent heat loss. Records of temperature shall be maintained. Before loading, the conveyance shall be carefully visually inspected for the presence of any foreign material, dust, dirt, chemicals, and pest infestation. The conveyance shall also be cleaned before loading the food products. While placing the food products, care shall be taken to ensure no damage or contamination of the food product. Ideally, similar food products shall be placed in the conveyance to avoid contamination. However, if multiple food products or non-food products are transported, effective separation shall be done. Bulk foodstuffs in liquid, granulate, or powder form shall be transported in tankers reserved for the foodstuffs. Such containers are to be marked in a clearly visible and indelible fashion to show that they are used for the transport of foodstuff. Mandatory Form E, as per Food Safety and Standards, Licensing and Registration of Food Businesses Regulation 2011, shall be filled and be available during transport. Thus, the main points to remember are: conveyances used for transporting foodstuffs shall be kept clean and maintained in good repair and condition. For bulk transport, it shall be made of food-grade material. The conveyance shall also be capable of meeting and monitoring the temperature requirements for temperature-sensitive products. Records shall be maintained. Before loading, the conveyance shall be carefully visually inspected for the presence of any foreign material, dust, dirt, chemicals, and pest infestation. Bulk foodstuffs in liquid, granulate, or powder form shall be transported in tankers reserved for the foodstuffs. Mandatory Form E, as per Food Safety and Standards, Licensing and Registration of Food Businesses Regulation 2011, shall be filled. In this video, we will learn about mandatory requirements to be followed during traceability and recall of food products. In an unforeseen case, the food business operator may be required to recall the food product. If it doesn't meet the requirements of the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006 and it poses a threat to food safety. In case of recall, the food business operator shall follow the procedure as laid down under Food Safety and Standards Food Recall Procedure Regulation 2017. The FBO shall also have a documented and effective product recall plan. This plan should help to effectively locate all the affected food products that may cause a potential threat to public health, and should then enable the complete, rapid recall of the implicated lot of product from the market. The food business operator shall maintain all the records of the procurement, production, and distribution necessary to practice an efficient traceability and recall of food products. There shall be a system for assigning codes or lot numbers to incoming materials, packaging materials, and finished products for easy identification. In a situation where a product has been recalled because of an immediate health hazard, other products produced under the similar conditions may also present a hazard to public health. They shall also be evaluated for safety and may need to be recalled. Recalled products shall be either held under supervision until they are destroyed or used for purposes other than human consumption, or if the products can be reworked in a manner to ensure its safety, then it can be deemed safe for human consumption. The recall program should be tested at least once a year through appropriate means such as a mock recall. It should be tested to verify its ability to rapidly identify, control, and recall all the potentially affected products. The food business operator should identify and correct any deficiencies in the recall procedure. Records of recalled products shall be maintained. Records should demonstrate effective identification, traceability, the recall, subsequent handling, and disposal of the recalled food. Thus, the main points to remember are: the food business operator shall follow the procedures as laid down under Food Safety and Standards, Food Recall Procedure, Regulation 2017. The food business operator shall maintain all the records of the procurement, production, and distribution necessary to practice an efficient traceability and recall of food products. Recalled products shall be held under supervision until they are destroyed or reworked. Records of recalled products shall be maintained. In this video, we will learn about best practices for quality control of food products. The food business operator shall have a quality control program in place to include inspection and testing of incoming, in process, and finished products. Adequate infrastructure, including a laboratory facility, and trained and competent testing personnel should be available for carrying out testing. Calibration of laboratory equipment shall be done periodically. In case adequate in-house test facilities are not available, a system shall be in place for testing these materials in an NABL accredited external laboratory or labs notified by FSSAI. Each category or type of finished food product shall be tested as per Food Safety and Standards, Food Product Standards and Food Additive Regulation 2011 at least once in 6 months from an NABL accredited or FSSAI notified laboratory. It is recommended to retain the control samples till the end of shelf life. Records of testing shall be maintained. In case of complaints or feedback on the product, the food business operator shall carry out the testing either through their in-house or external accredited laboratories notified by FSSAI to ensure product compliance to the standards. Thus, the main points to remember are: adequate infrastructure, including a laboratory facility and trained and competent testing personnel, should be available for carrying out testing. Each category or type of finished food product shall be tested at least once in 6 months from an NABL accredited or FSSAI notified laboratory. Records of testing shall be maintained. In this video, we will learn about cleaning and sanitation requirements to ensure sanitary and hygienic environment for food manufacturing. All food handling areas such as raw material area, manufacturing area, packaging area, final product warehouse, and other areas shall be kept clean and disinfected where necessary to prevent contamination of food products. There should be no flaking paint or plaster, mold infestation, broken tiles, enameled or chipped containers, and other contaminants. Similarly, outer premises and other non-food handling areas such as machinery storage area, maintenance areas, waste handling areas, refreshment room, and other areas shall also be kept clean. Appropriate measures shall be taken to ensure that the cleaning and disinfecting mediums such as water, cleaning liquids, disinfecting solutions, etc. should not contaminate the food. Cleaning and disinfection chemicals shall be non-toxic, where possible food grade, handled and used carefully in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. They shall be stored away from food in clearly identified containers to avoid risk of contaminating the food. They should be diluted appropriately as per written instructions to ensure their effectiveness. The food business shall have a detailed schedule for cleaning and disinfecting of the food handling areas and equipment. As far as possible, CIP, that is, clean in process method, shall be adopted. The schedule shall specify important details such as the cleaning area, frequency, personnel responsible, chemical used and its dilution, cleaning method, verification procedure, etc. to ensure that the personnel carry out their duty efficiently. The records of the same shall be maintained. All the food manufacturing equipment, including containers, shall also be kept clean and repaired at regular intervals to ensure they do not pose any threat to food safety. They shall be cleaned before the start of operation, during the process, and after the operation ends. Cleaning can be carried out by the separate or combined use of physical and chemical methods. Physical methods include heat, scrubbing, turbulent flow, and vacuum cleaning or other methods. And chemical methods include use of detergents, alkalis, or acids. Cleaning procedures generally involve pre-scraping the utensils and surfaces and rinsing with water to remove most of the food residue, dirt, and debris present. Washing with warm water and detergent by agitation to loosen the remaining food residue and dirt. Rinsing with clean water to remove the loosened residue and dirt. Where necessary, equipment can be sanitized using appropriate method. All clean and sanitized equipments and utensils shall be dried by evaporation and later stored in a clean place, barring access to dust and pests. There shall be no stagnation of water in any food handling area. All spills and food debris must be cleaned at frequent intervals. Special focus should be there in handling critical areas like conveyors to ensure oil dripping back into food process or product is avoided. Regular cleaning and inspection of the food handling areas and equipment shall be done to ensure they do not provide pest access or harborage. Thus, the main points to remember in this video are: all food handling areas, non-food handling areas, and equipment shall be kept clean and disinfected where necessary to ensure food safety. Appropriate measures shall be taken to ensure that the cleaning and disinfecting mediums do not contaminate the food. The food business shall have a detailed schedule for cleaning and disinfection of food handling areas and equipment. Records of the cleaning shall be maintained. Regular cleaning and inspection of the food handling areas and equipment shall be done to ensure they do not provide pest access or harborage. In this video, we will learn about the maintenance requirement to ensure hygienic environment for production of food products. The food business operator shall develop a system of maintenance covering all the equipment and food handling areas that are critical to food safety. The maintenance programs should identify the equipment or area, material used, procedure, frequency, personnel responsible, monitoring and verification procedures, etc., to ensure its effectiveness. The maintenance program shall be developed as per corrective and preventive maintenance requirements. The maintenance shall be done as per the manufacturer's instructions. Lubricants, heat transfer fluids, grease, paints, etc., which may contact food shall be of food grade material. Corrective maintenance shall be carried out in such a way that the production on adjoining lines or equipment does not create a risk of contamination. Appropriate cleaning shall be done after carrying out corrective maintenance. Visual inspection should be done to ensure absence of any loose machinery part before starting the manufacturing procedure. Regular maintenance and inspection of the equipment shall be done to ensure they do not provide pest access or harborage. Preventive maintenance should also include calibration of the devices used to monitor and control food safety hazards. The calibration shall be done at defined intervals or at least once a year. Temporary fixes, when used, shall not put product safety at risk and should be removed or permanently fixed in a timely manner. Regular inspection and maintenance of equipment such as the sieve integrity, calibration of weighing balance, and metal detectors, etc. shall be done. Thereafter, prompt repair or replacement of the damaged equipment shall be done to prevent contamination of food products. Thus, the main points to remember in this video are: the food business operator shall develop a system of maintenance covering all the equipment and food handling areas that are critical to food safety. Maintenance program shall include corrective and preventive maintenance. Lubricants, heat transfer fluids, grease, paints, etc., which may contact food shall be of food grade material. Regular maintenance and inspection of the equipment shall be done to ensure they do not provide pest access or harborage. Preventive maintenance should also include calibration of the devices used to monitor and control food safety hazards. In this video, we will learn about pest control requirements to ensure hygienic environment for food manufacturing. The pest control program should be based on the 4Ds principle, that is, deny entry, deny shelter, deny food, and destroy. Deny entry, meaning entry shall be denied to pests by sealing all the openings and gaps between the floor and door in the food manufacturing area. Animals, birds, and pets shall be excluded from the food premises. Deny shelter, meaning shelter shall be denied by cleaning all the waste, covering all the unused machines, and regularly cleaning off the premises. Deny food, meaning by ensuring proper storage of raw materials and final products, the pests shall be denied food for them to survive. And finally, destroy, meaning use of physical, chemical, and biological means shall be applied to destroy and eradicate the pests from the premises. After ensuring the basic hygiene in the food manufacturing plant, an initial inspection shall be carried out to know which pests are likely to be present. Based on the information, suitable pest control program shall be designed for controlling or eliminating the risk of pest infestation in the premises. The program should consist of the pest identified to be controlled, the name of the pest control company or the name of the person contracted for the pest control program. The person who is assigned responsibility for pest control. The list of chemicals used, their concentration in accordance with label instructions, and the location, method, and frequency of application. A map of the location of the pest control devices that are monitored. The pest control activities shall be performed only by trained and authorized personnel. These shall be continuously monitored for their effectiveness to ensure that there are no signs of pest infestation. Updated records of pest control measures taken and pest control contracts shall be available. It shall also be ensured that pest control chemicals or activity do not contaminate the food products. Pest control activities shall include use of insecticutors, rodent traps, and baits as appropriate. These physical means shall be in adequate number and mapped. Insecticutors, when used, should be functional and the collection tray should be cleaned at regular intervals. Baits shall be placed in traps only and the traps shall be locked so as to prevent potential contamination of raw material, food products, or facilities. The pesticides used shall be registered under the Environment Protection Act 1986. Chemical treatment of equipment, premises, or ingredient to control pests should be done as per the label instructions. They should also be applied so that the maximum residue limits specified in the Food Safety and Standards, Contaminants, Toxins and Residues Regulation 2011 is not exceeded. Records of pesticides or insecticides used along with dates and frequency shall be maintained. Poisonous rodenticides shall not be used within the premises. The disposal of pest control waste shall be done hygienically to avoid contamination of food products. Thus, the key points to remember in this video are: 4Ds principle should be followed while controlling the pests, that is, deny entry, deny shelter, deny food, and destroy. The food businesses shall have a documented pest control program for controlling or eliminating the risk of pest infestation in the premises. The pest control activities shall be performed by trained and authorized personnel. The pesticides used shall be registered under the Environment Protection Act 1986. In this video, we will learn about the hygienic disposal of waste from the food manufacturing premises. Accumulation and overflowing of food waste, non-edible byproducts, and any other refuse shall not be allowed in food handling or storage areas. They shall be removed periodically with a minimum daily removal to avoid microbial degradation. There shall be separate waste bins for different kind of wastes such as biodegradable, non-biodegradable, wet and dry garbage, etc. They shall be clearly marked and color-coded and designed in such a way to ease cleaning and disinfection. The capacity of these waste bins shall be as per day's production of waste. They shall be cleaned periodically and dried before each use. They shall also be maintained in a good condition and kept closed to avoid pest infestation. Waste shall be segregated as per the waste bins before dumping. Waste shall be disposed of from the premises on a periodic basis in a hygienic way and as per local rules and regulations which are enforced from time to time. Disposal of sewage and effluents such as solid, liquid and gas effluents shall be done in conformity with specified requirements of Factory Act and State Pollution Control Board. They shall not be accumulated for a long time in the premises. An agency or third party may be contracted for disposing of the waste such as used cooking oil, cartons, etc., which may be reused for purposes other than human consumption. When disposing packaging material, care should be taken to ensure that the brand name is disfigured or destroyed to avoid unintended use of the brand name. Removal and destruction should be carried out by approved disposal contractors. The organization should retain the records of destruction. Thus, the main points in this video are: accumulation and overflowing of food waste, non-edible byproducts, and other refuse shall not be allowed in food handling or storage areas. The waste bins shall be kept clean and maintained in a good condition to avoid pest infestation. Waste shall be disposed of from the premises on periodic basis in a hygienic way and as per local rules and regulations which are enforced from time to time. An agency or third party may be contracted for disposing of waste which may be reused for purposes other than human consumption. In this video, we will learn about the personnel health requirement for handling food products to ensure its hygienic preparation. The health status of the food handlers is of utmost importance while handling the food. The food business shall arrange for the medical examination of all the food handlers by a registered medical practitioner annually to ensure that they are free from any infectious and other communicable diseases. Medical examination shall include physical examination, eye test, skin examination, and any other test required to confirm any communicable or infectious disease which the food handler is suspected to be suffering from upon clinical examination. Food handlers shall also be inoculated against the enteric group of diseases decided by the medical practitioner according to the list as declared by the municipal corporation of that area. Record of medical examination shall be maintained in the performer as prescribed under Food Safety and Standards, Licensing and Registration of Food Businesses, Regulation 2011. Records of vaccination shall also be maintained. The food handlers shall be visually inspected for any signs of illness or injury. Food handlers suffering from any disease shall not be allowed to handle food or any other material such as packaging material which may encounter food. Food handlers shall themselves report the conditions such as jaundice, diarrhea, vomiting, fever, sore throat with fever, visibly infected lesions, boils, cuts or sores, and discharge from ears, eyes or nose to the supervisor for possible exclusion from food handling areas. Food handlers with open cuts, wounds or burns shall be required to cover them with suitably waterproof dressings before starting operation. Any lost dressing must be reported to supervisor immediately. The dressing should preferably be of bright color and metal detectable. Thus, the main points in this video are: the food handlers shall be medically examined by a registered medical practitioner annually to ensure that they are free from infectious and other communicable diseases. Food handlers shall also be periodically inoculated against the enteric group of diseases. Food handlers suffering from any disease shall not be allowed to handle food or any other material such as packaging material which may encounter food. Record of medical examination shall be maintained. In this video, we will learn about the personal hygiene and personal habit requirements for the food handlers to ensure hygienic preparation of the food products. All the food handlers shall maintain high degree of personal hygiene while handling food. They shall wear work clothing, protective clothing and footwear that is fit for the purpose, clean and in good condition, such as free from tears, rips or fraying material. Workwear clothing shall provide adequate coverage to ensure that hair, beard, perspiration, body discharges, etc. cannot contaminate the food product. As a good practice, it should be free from buttons or outside pockets above waist level. zips, or press stud fastenings are acceptable. They should be laundered to standards and at intervals suitable for the intended use of the garments. Where change in workwear is not required, care shall be taken to ensure that the food handler is wearing clean clothes. Apron over personal clothing is preferred. Protective clothing mandated for the food production areas shall not be used for any other purpose. Protective clothing includes hairnet, mustache net, glasses, earplugs, gloves, aprons, and footwear. The aprons and dresses of food handlers shall be kept in an ozonized cabinet or UV-induced cabinets when handling sensitive products like pies, cakes, etc. Where gloves are used for product contact, they shall be clean and in good condition. Working without gloves can be done provided there are necessary controls on periodic usage of disinfectants at work section and nature of the product being handled. Hair shall be kept neatly tied and fingernails shall be kept trimmed. The food handlers shall prohibit the use of nail polish, false nails, and false eyelashes, and carrying of writing implements behind the ears. No strong perfume or lotion should be applied. Shoes worn outside food handling area shall not be allowed inside the food handling area. Shoes for use in processing areas shall be fully enclosed and made from non-absorbent materials. Personal shoes shall be either changed or covered using foot covers. Head cover should be worn first and footwear worn last, which is then followed by sanitization. All personnel entering the food handling area shall wash their hands with soap and potable water, followed by drying and sanitization if required. Hand washing notices should be posted in appropriate areas. Hands shall also be washed after handling non-food chemicals, handling incompatible food products such as raw versus cooked food, or contaminated material, after refreshment rooms, after coughing or sneezing or blowing their nose, after using toilet facilities, after using cell phones, after smoking, etc. As a good practice, cell phones should be used as minimum as possible, especially in high-risk areas, as they are also a source of contamination. Food handlers should not handle soiled currency notes and cards to avoid contamination. Food handlers shall pass through an air curtain to remove any lint or hair while leaving the changing room. The food handlers shall exhibit a high degree of personal behavior while handling food products. Food handlers shall avoid behaviors such as smoking, chewing, eating, unprotected sneezing or coughing, spitting, etc., as it could result in contamination of food products. Food handlers shall also avoid certain hand habits such as scratching nose, running fingers through hair, rubbing eyes, ears, and mouth, scratching beard or part of the body. When unavoidable, hands shall be effectively washed before resuming work after such actions. Personal effects such as jewelry, watch, pins, or other items should not be worn or brought into food handling areas as they pose threat to the safety and suitability of food. Food contact tool and equipment shall not be kept in personal lockers. Processing equipment such as refrigerators and freezers should not be used for personal storage such as storing lunches or cooling water. Special emphasis shall be given on the trainings on personal hygiene and personal behavior to the food handlers, as it is necessary to constantly improvise their behavior towards food safety. As far as possible, visitors should be discouraged in food handling areas. If visitors, including maintenance personnel, are allowed, they shall wear appropriate protective clothing, footwear, and adhere to all the personal hygiene requirements and maintain personal behavior while entering the food handling areas. Thus, the main points in this video are: all the food handlers shall maintain high degree of personal hygiene while handling food, such as wearing clean clothes, wearing protective equipment, footwear, hand washing, no personal jewelry, etc. Food handlers shall discourage personal behaviors such as smoking, chewing, eating, unprotected sneezing or coughing, spitting, etc., which could result in food contamination. Certain hand habits such as scratching nose, running fingers through hair, rubbing eyes, ears and mouth, scratching beard or part of the body, etc., shall be avoided by food handlers. Visitors shall also adhere to all the personal hygiene requirements while entering the food handling area. In this video, we will learn about the basics of product information that needs to be shared with the consumer to enable him to make an aware choice. Each pre-packaged food shall bear a label declaring all the mandatory information as per food safety and standards, packaging and labeling of food regulations 2011. This will ensure that adequate and accessible information is available to each person in the food chain to enable them to handle, store, process, prepare, and display the food products safely and correctly. This shall also help easy tracing and recall of the lot or batch of product if necessary. This label should also include information that identifies food allergens in the product as ingredients or where cross-contamination cannot be excluded. Lot identification is essential in product recall and also helps effective stock rotation. Each container of food should be permanently marked to identify the producer and the lot. The information on the packaging label shall be provided in a clear and legible manner to help the consumer in making an informed decision before purchasing a food product. Any other information which is not mandated, yet the food business thinks that the information may be necessary for the consumer, should also be provided, such as cooking and storage instructions, customer care helpline number, etc. Each food business shall develop a system to effectively handle the consumer complaints. The packaging label of food products should also bear details of person to be contacted in case of a complaint. Such complaints should be effectively redressed in a time-bound manner to assist the consumer. Complaints should be accurately categorized according to food safety concerns such as presence of foreign contamination and according to other regulatory concerns such as labeling. The food business shall also identify a technical person responsible for receiving, analyzing, and addressing the food safety complaints. Based on the nature of the complaint, necessary corrective and preventive actions, including review of the GHP and GMP system, shall be taken to prevent the reoccurrence of the complaint. Records of the complaint and action taken shall be maintained. Thus, the main points in this video are: each food product label shall declare all the mandatory information as per food safety and standards, packaging and labeling of food regulations 2011. Each food business shall develop a system to effectively handle the consumer complaints. Records of the complaint and action taken shall be maintained. In this video, we will learn about the training requirements and role of management to strengthen the food safety ecosystem in the food business. The food business shall develop a training schedule for all the food handlers as per the food safety task assigned to them. The schedule should include the frequency of the training, topic of the training, mode of training, language used, assessment procedure, etc. It should also include induction training and refresher training of food handlers. These training programs shall be routinely reviewed and updated wherever necessary. All personnel should be aware of their role and responsibility in protecting food from contamination or deterioration and shall be competent to carry the food safety task assigned to them. Training need identification should be done for all food handlers, and accordingly, the training sessions should be organized. The food handlers shall be trained in food hygiene and food safety aspects along with personal hygiene requirements commensurate with their work activities. The nature of food, its handling, processing, preparation, packaging, storage, service and distribution. An appropriate assessment should be done after each training session, and the food handlers who do not qualify in the assessment should be retrained. Routine supervision and checks shall also be done to ensure that food hygiene and food safety procedures are being carried out effectively by the food handlers. Records of training shall be maintained. The management involvement is necessary for an effective food safety management system, FSMS, in the food businesses. The food safety issues shall be discussed in periodic management review meetings. The management shall appoint trained and competent managers and supervisors with necessary knowledge of food hygiene principles, practices, and skills. They will help ensure food safety and quality of its products, judge food hazards, take appropriate preventive and corrective action, and ensure effective monitoring and supervision. The type of supervision needed will depend on the size of the business, the nature of its activities, and the types of food involved. The FBO management shall provide and maintain documented standard operating procedure for FSMS system compliance. The management shall also be responsible for supervision at site through records and checklists on a routine basis to control any possible hazards throughout the supply chain. Thus, the key points of this video are: the food business shall develop a training schedule for all the food handlers as per the food safety task assigned to them. The food handlers shall be trained in food hygiene and food safety aspects, along with personal hygiene requirements commensurate to their work activities. Records of training shall be maintained. The management shall appoint trained and competent managers and supervisors with necessary knowledge of food hygiene principles and skills to ensure effective monitoring and supervision. In this video, we will learn about the audit requirement, documentation, and record keeping practices to be followed by food businesses for effective recall and traceability and to strengthen the food safety. To verify the effectiveness of the implemented food safety management system, the food business operator shall conduct a self-evaluation through internal audit or by other mechanisms at periodic intervals, which should be at least once a year. The internal audit should be conducted by a multidisciplinary team which should cover all the food handling areas. There should be special focus on activities which are necessary to control or eliminate the food safety hazards in the food business. The external audit shall be carried out as a supplier's audit or third-party certification audit to verify the effectiveness of food safety management systems. The audit checklist shall be reviewed periodically, and the necessary corrective and preventive actions shall be taken as per the audit findings. Records of the audit should be maintained. Necessary corrective actions based on audit findings shall be reviewed in the management review meetings. The food business shall maintain all the records which are necessary to establish the effectiveness of food safety management system and recall procedure. The important records include incoming material checks, inspection and testing, cleaning and sanitation, calibration of food safety equipment, water testing, operational controls such as temperature, pressure, time, etc., storage, pest control, medical examination and health status of food handlers, training, etc. Any changes to records should be traceable. For example, errors are identified by a strikeout and followed by initials. Each entry on a record should be signed and dated by the responsible person at the time the specific event occurred. Record keeping requirements and responsibilities should be communicated to the staff. Records should be kept in a secure location, maintained and readily available for a period of 1 year or shelf life, whichever is more. Thus, the key points in this video are: to verify the effectiveness of the implemented food safety management system, the food business operator shall conduct a self-evaluation through internal and external audit or by other mechanisms at periodic intervals, which should be at least once a year. Records of the audit should be maintained. The food business shall maintain all the records which are necessary to establish the effectiveness of food safety management system and recall procedure. Records should be kept in a secure location, maintained and readily available for a period of 1 year or shelf life, whichever is more.